I'm from Kentucky, middle of nowhere, from a town where there's 3,000 people. I didn't come from a big city, and I never dreamed of being in marketing, but how in the world am I going to make money? Because obviously I had all this college debt. And so I went on this journey of searching for anything and everything to make $1. I mean, like anything. I was trying stock trading, e-commerce, everything. And that was actually the first time I ever opened up ClickFunnels.com.
You're also a 2 Comma Club X winner, man. I've seen you holding that award with your name on it.
It's really cool to see what dramatic demonstrations can do. That's all we've done. Dramatic demonstration, like challenge. And so I'm excited to talk about that today.
Welcome to ClickFunnels Radio, the podcast that brings you the latest strategies, insights, and success stories from online marketers just like you who utilize funnels to grow their business. Our mission is simple: to help you unleash the true potential of your online business by harnessing the power of funnels. Join us every week as we bring you exclusive interviews and thought-provoking discussions that will revolutionize the way you approach online marketing. Here are your hosts, Chris Cameron and Ben Harris.
All right, everybody, welcome back to an episode of ClickFunnels Radio. This is episode 703. Unless I'm wrong, somebody could probably in the comments tell me that I am, but I am here today with the best co-host in the game, Mr. Chris Cameron. Chris, what's up, man?
What's up, guys? Hey, Ben. Good to see you, man.
You as well. And we have an incredible special guest today that's got an awesome story of how they have completely broken into the online marketing industry and made an amazing name and brand for themselves, but with a better reputation that goes along with it of doing things the right way and really, frankly, mastering the art of dramatic demonstrations. We're going to go all into that. But founder of The Funnel Pros, Michael Tucker, welcome to ClickFunnels Radio.
What's up, guys? I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me on. And I know this is going to be a great conversation.
You're also a 2 Comma Club X winner, man. I've seen you holding that award with your name on it.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We just got that. One of our clients, we took her business to really 8 figures in 2 years, all through one funnel, one offer. And it's been crazy. So yeah,
that's what's up.
For the congratulations there. It's really cool to see what dramatic demonstrations can do. That's all we've done. Dramatic demonstration, like challenge. And so I'm excited to talk about that today.
That's awesome, man. And if you don't mind sharing with us, what led you, to getting your start on the internet, really from, step one?
Yeah, great question. And I'm going to be honest, it's not what a lot of people think. I was in college. I'm from Kentucky, middle of nowhere. I was just telling the guys, Ben and Chris, I was just saying, hey, I'm from a town where there's 3,000 people. I didn't come from a big city, and I never dreamed of being in marketing, but I was in college and I got out, just got married, and I was like, how in the world am I going to make money? Because obviously I had all this college debt. And so I went on this journey of searching for anything and everything to make $1. I mean, like anything. I was trying stock trading, e-commerce, everything. And then one day, one of my friends came up and said, Michael, you should learn real estate. And now I know we're not here to talk about real estate today, but I was like, okay, I'm trying everything anyway. Let's try it. And he said, okay, but you have to buy my coaching program. He said, you buy my coaching program. It's $100 a month. It was a continuity program at the time. And it was just an audio coaching. We hopped on freeconferencecall.com and he just did a call every week. And so I said, dude, I just told you I don't have money. I'm in college. He's like, okay, let's do this. Let's find a way to make this happen. And I said, oh, hey, I got an idea. How about I help you grow your business? I said, I know a little bit. I'm like, okay, I'm like 20 years old, 21. I can figure out how to use the internet and build out websites or something for you. And he said, okay, yeah, I'll coach you for free. And you come in and just help me in my business with whatever. And that was like my first break into the marketing because he was asking, hey, do you know how to build funnels? And that was actually the first time I ever opened up ClickFunnels.com was for my real estate coach. And I bartered this service with him. And so that's how I broke into it was getting into real estate, but then, helping my own coach grow his business. And so that's when we officially opened up our first ClickFunnels account.
Wow. Freeconferencecall.com, man. That takes me back. I remember sitting on these. Do you guys remember that? And like, they make up these silly songs. And like, I hope the other person picks up. And like, it's wild how far we've come. I feel like, coaching and everything else has come so far since like COVID. Now everybody's just Zoom everything. It's a remarkable story, man. And this exchange that you guys had, is I'll help you, you help me. Ben, it's funny. How many like entrepreneurs do we talk to? Like that's their start. Is like, well, I just exchanged my skills for somebody else's skills.
Right. And when you have more time than money, it is a great way to, one, kind of leverage, but in a way you're almost getting paid to learn. And, with doing that, Michael, what happened to the real estate business? Was it able to work out?
Yeah, so actually it did work out. We still do it to this day. So not many people do know that, but I flip houses and we have a team that does that full time. But so we started that, and what happened was, I was doing real estate, still helping him part time. I was part-time youth minister. I worked part-time as a restaurant server while helping him. And eventually we just kept trying because we were seeing all these things. We heard Russell Brunson talk about webinars. And so we were trying all these marketing things to grow my coach's business. And we couldn't seem to get anything to work. I don't know. It wasn't working for us. But then I remember this one time we ran a webinar. We built this out. We took weeks. Like everybody does, this big launch, you get all the emails prepped, all the text prepped. We ran this webinar to sell, I think it was like a $3,000, $4,000 program. And I'll never forget, this was like the first big launch I guess we did. And I was sitting at my kitchen table one Friday night after we launched an offer. And I never forget, like sitting at the kitchen table, hitting refresh on ClickFunnels so many times. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? You just hit refresh, refresh. And nothing was
sales.
So I kind of, I got bummed. I was like, wow, this is our first big launch. We just put weeks into this effort. Nothing came in. But we had a friend watching from the distance, and he hit us up the day after. I think it was like a Saturday. He messaged us. It was like, hey, how'd your webinar go? And, we said, oh yeah, it was good. Making up stuff, trying to make us look at least a little halfway decent, which we just flopped. Right. But so he reached out and said, you know what, there's this thing that I've heard going around, and actually our team has been, doing this really well. It's called a challenge. And a lot of y'all know what challenges are because you've listened to these podcasts and you've attended events with Russell. But he said, you guys should try a challenge instead of a webinar. He said, you guys have so much passion, so much energy. If people just spend a few days with you guys, they're going to purchase. And so we met in Zoom with them. And we didn't know what the heck a challenge was. We just learned what a webinar was. So like for this challenge, he sat down for an hour, laid it out all out, just on a piece of paper with us, and we did it messy. And that first challenge we ever did, we made $30,000 off our first challenge. And for us, that's what I made in a year. That's
awesome.
So I was like, what the heck just happened? What the heck? We just made $30,000 in 5 days. Let's do this again. And so the cool thing about it was, I always leave this part out, but it's really important that we did it with no email list. I would say email list less than 100 people. Social media with people or less. We didn't have thousands of people on social media. So we made $30,000 just off of very minimal resources. And that was like the light bulb moment in my head where I was like, there's something with these virtual events. I have to master this. So I know that was more than you guys were asking for, but that's my story in a nutshell. And that led to where we are today. That was like the catalyst of my mind just opening up and saying, what in the world have I been missing out on?
That's an incredible lead in. And we were jamming and we were talking a little bit before we hit record. I love this because so much of what we're doing with ClickFunnels right now is all based around this linchpin model, right? And for those of you who aren't aware of it, in a nutshell, what you're doing is you're bringing people in, whether you're the attractive character or bringing other people, help influence, bringing people in usually through some type of dramatic demonstration into a continuity program. And so 2 dramatic demonstrations that Michael just mentioned was one's a webinar, another one is a challenge. And I'm curious because that's how I started at ClickFunnels. Like I was doing webinars. Matter of fact, Ben and I back in the day, we had this speaking team and we'd go cruise around and like fly around and we do a webinar on stage, right? And then we did a bunch of them online once COVID hit. And we could sell $2,000, $3,000 pretty easy on a webinar, if you have enough people coming through and you have the perfect webinar down. But why a challenge over webinar? Why was that the thing that worked for you versus maybe that webinar? Is it because of the length? People will stick with you longer? Because I think there's pros and cons, right? Sometimes people will show up and be like, oh man, I don't have 3 days or 5 days or 7 days for a challenge, but maybe they got 90 minutes for a webinar. So what was the thing for you that made you pull towards challenges versus like webinars?
Yeah. Great question. I get this all the time. And I just want to tell people up front, I'm not against webinars. We run hundreds of webinars a year. Like, they work amazing for us. At the time, we just weren't equipped with the knowledge that we have now. But the reason why I love challenges compared to webinars is just because you and I both know how much trust is the audience going to have if they spend 5 days with you versus 90 minutes. Like, the trust level is going to be completely different, right? And so at the time when we were first starting, we were trying to sell a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 program in 60 minutes. When people would look at us and be like, huh, who are you? You know, not saying we have people that do that, but it's a lot harder to sell a 5K program in a 90-minute, 60-minute webinar versus a 5-day event where they can come in on day one and they can get warmed up to you slowly. And then by day 5, man, when we run these things, they're like handing out credit cards saying, hey, here's our card. Let's get into the program. And so it's just, we like it because of the credibility and the trust factor, but it's a lot easier to sell high ticket when you have more immersion, right? And I've heard this said from multiple speakers in the ClickFunnels realm, Nehemiah Davis, I think Myron Golden, some people, but the more immersion you have with people, the higher the conversion, right? And so that's why we choose it, and that's why we like it, is because we can get more immersion with people.
I'm gonna give some secrets too, real quick. FHL is one of the biggest challenges on the planet. Like, people don't know that. They come and they buy these tickets and they're getting so much value, but this is choreographed, orchestrated to sell at the end. And we're usually selling to Comma Club X coaching program, right? But we have this where we have speakers all the way through selling this thing. So it's trust. And I'm telling you, when you do it right, people trust you. Such a great point. Such a great point.
And on the immersion piece, Michael, in your experience, right, you've done hundreds, thousands of these. Do you feel like there's, whether it's a price point or an industry, certain things that do require more immersion than others?
You know, I would say that's a great question. I would say probably not. Obviously, challenges can work with a wide variety of industries. I personally, this is my thought, the frameworks are the same regardless of what industry you're in. It's all about creating a transformational experience for people. And I think where so many coaches and course creators or infopreneurs get it wrong is they just come in and teach for 5 days straight. But just like Chris said, even FHL is not just teaching. There's a method there to the madness. There's a lot of strategy that goes into that. So I think regardless of what industry you're in, it really just comes down to the process you're taking people through. And it's all about creating a new belief system for the people going through your event. And so that's what we tell people is we like for people to come into our events thinking one way, thinking a different way. And so how can we help transform their belief system is what we ask. And so I don't think, as far as immersion goes, I don't think it matters industry wise. I think as long as you follow the blueprints and you actually have a method to taking people closer to where they want to be, closer to that dream destination, I think you'll have success, and I think it'll be all right.
Do you pick, like, sometimes for us, it takes like a year. Russell is hand picking people for Funnel Hacking Live, or, you know, when we launched 2.0, we did the Your First Funnel Challenge. Like, he handpicked certain people like Grant Cardone or different people. How do you pick, like, if you have an agent, or I'm sorry, you have a client that's coming in and said, we want you to run a challenge for us. Are you helping them kind of connect the dots? How do you pick who speaks on that? And then are you telling them what to speak? And are you putting them like in a certain spot on a certain day? Like, what goes into all of that?
Hey, while you're enjoying this, I want to let you in on something we've been working on really quick.
If you've been wanting to launch an idea and you're like, I don't know what to do.
Problem is, you don't know how to get that message out there. You need a funnel
That had you launched in a week, had twice the sales, and was scalable on Facebook ads.
If you want to learn exactly how in just 5 days, you're going to want to check out the Your First Funnel Challenge.
Your first funnel will be the thing that changes your business.
If you don't have a funnel
and you still haven't built one yet,
and you're like, I don't know what to do.
You got to check out what we're doing with Russell Brunson at ClickFunnels right now.
In my talk, I'm going to show you how to sell your products and services.
I'll be teaching tripwire funnels in the challenge.
We've had almost 3 million orders.
Thousands and thousands of people around the world.
You're one funnel away.
Funnel can change the car you drive, the house you live in, and how you travel from here to there.
The 4 mistakes that I see so many people make.
This challenge funnel has allowed me to launch 2 companies, 7 figures and beyond, with no email list, no social media following.
I grew an agency to 100 people and 8 figures.
Over $100 million in sales.
And over the next 5 days,
you'll be hearing from people like myself
myself.
Damon John, Gary White, Annie Grace, and Myron Golden.
And like 20 other high-level entrepreneurs are going to be showing you how to build your first funnel.
And the best part, it's free.
As in free 99. By the end, you will have your whole entire funnel built.
So if you want to join the challenge, just click below right now. I want you to be in the challenge. I want you to take that step, build your first funnel, and change your life.
So stop sitting on your couch and watching this video on your cell phone.
Click the link below.
I can't wait to see you there.
We'll see you in the challenge.
Yeah, great question. And actually, my method is a little bit different. Okay. So I don't vouch for having tons of speakers. Okay. And that may be against what other people say. But for me, I like to be in control of the conversation. And what happens is, now Russell's on a different level. Okay. And the people he picks, very methodical, he knows what he's doing. But what happens is a lot of individuals, they come in and they're like, oh, I'm just going to bring in 5 speakers to speak on my virtual event, my challenge. And then what happens is these speakers end up taking over authority and taking over the event.
Good point.
And then the speaker, the host, which would be you or me, we lose all authority because we're passing it to other people. So what I say is, if we're going to bring in speakers, 1 to 2 speakers, 3 max, but they're not speaking long, but we control the conversation is what we say, because we want people to fall in love with us, our processes, and ultimately, look at us as an authority. And so I say, yes, we do handpick people, and we do very selective, right? We want people who aren't oblivious to what we're trying to do through the event, right? They're not, we're not bringing in somebody that they're going to come in and use this event for their own gain. They're going to get some gain out of it by being in front of an audience of 500 people. That's just part of it. But we're not bringing in people who want to come in for selfish gain. We're being really methodical, people who complement our niche, people who have, authority, but then knowledge in our niche. So like I said, we don't bring in tons of people, but when we do, yes, we handpick it. And that content we teach throughout the 5-day challenge is very methodical as well. And we do, for our clients, we do help guide them through what to teach each day and then what their speakers should teach on.
On the guest speaking piece of what you were just talking about, would you feel like, even for challenges or webinars alike, guest speakers are required, or would you suggest them for someone looking to run their own?
Yeah, and I think that's a good question. And the question has been, Chris, like, where are you guys at in your journey? And that's what I would ask everybody else. Somebody who's coming in, they have no leads, right? Their list is small. They don't have an ads budget. Like, you're going to have to get creative on how to get people in the room. So like, why not utilize other speakers? Right. So is it required? No, but it depends on certain situations. Like whenever I first started out, this is really cool because this will circle all back. So after I learned how to get into real estate and I found some success, this was like 4 years ago. I was like, you know what? David's crushing it. I'm going to make my own course and I'm going to sell it. So I started my own challenge and I was like, you know what? I have no list either, but how are we going to do this? And this is going to be a ninja hack, which you guys probably have talked about in the past, but I just love this model. And what I would do is go and find other speakers and just leverage them, bring them into my challenge and have them promote their audience, send out emails, send out texts. And so I would fill up a challenge with 100 or 200 people that I've never even seen in my life, all just by bringing in, I'd go and make $10,000, $15,000 in each challenge just by doing that. Now, I don't recommend you do that as you grow, but for us, that was a great stepping stone for me to build my email list to 1,000 people, 2,000 people. And I do want to say this because I want to get into the strategic partnerships. There's a whole nother world to growing in webinars and challenges if you have no list. Now, if you have a list, you have an audience, like you have a gold mine. But for those of you that don't, we're using these strategic partnerships. And I would love to go into that, but I don't want to speed up too fast. So I'm going to pause for a second.
No, I think that's actually great. That's Ben's role here at ClickFunnels too. And I've done this in the past too, is, I have a question about this. When you have somebody who wants maybe a little bit more exposure, right? But they're an up and comer or something like this, and they have a list. There's a couple ways you can do this. And I wonder what you prefer. One, you can pay them just to come be on as a guest. You can do some type of rev share from what you're doing, or some of them may just want to come simply from the exposure. Like, how do you balance that, and how do you make that decision in these strategic partnerships? So a couple ways you can compensate people.
Yeah, any of those ways work. I mean, obviously, if you're just starting out, you're probably not going to have all the funds to bring in somebody and pay. So what I did whenever I was first starting out is I would just build. It's all about building relationships prior to the ask, right? And Ben knows this just as much because you guys are really good at this. And so we would build relationships with people, really authentic relationships. And then whenever it was time for the ask, they would say yes, they would come do it for free. We would give them some kind of affiliate rev share on that, like 50% of anything on the front end, and then maybe 10 or 20% on the back end offer. But that was my favorite, is just coming in and just going straight to the affiliate rev share. Most of these people, if you have a good enough relationship, they'll come in, pop in and speak for 15, 20 minutes. In the digital age we're in now, everybody needs content. Everybody needs to get their brand out there. So I'm not going to say like a Grant Cardone would come speak on my event, right? But, I think if you build a good enough relationship with people, the ask will be easy.
I love that, though. You have, for example, you brought up Grant Cardone. We did something, gosh, was it last year or the year before, when he did his Unbreakable launch? And we did something so simple. We put Russell on the thank you page. Grant agreed, like, hey, you know what? Before you get into the challenge, go grab your ClickFunnels, account. And then that way we can build it in there. And then Russell had Grant previously had Grant come and speak on our 2.0 launch. And so it doesn't matter what level you get, you're just playing with different people. And we had like thousands of trials simply from that Grant Cardone piece and putting that together. It's really cool. There's so many different ways you can do this partnership.
That's one of my favorite videos. And I'm sorry, I'm going off track here, but I want people to go. There's a conversation with Myron Golden and Russell Brunson talking. It's like midnight mastermind. I can't remember what it is. Go look it up on YouTube. Whenever he was talking about the way they integrate, and you guys are the masters at this, but when you integrate like ClickFunnels with other people's YouTube descriptions, with other people's email lists, I was like, there's a whole nother world to this. You could do this with virtual events too. And so it's just crazy, like what can truly happen. So what we've built and gotten really good at is strategic partnerships. And so taking you back to our first ClickFunnels experience, we opened up ClickFunnels, we were running the webinars, and we ran that first challenge and made $30,000. We were like, something's up here. We can do this. And so what we realized though was we just did it all organic, and there's probably no way we can go back and run the same exact challenge to the same exact tiny, tiny, tiny audience we had. So what were we going to do? We decided to leverage other people's audiences. And so what we decided to do was these people we had built relationships in the past that we knew had audiences, whether it was 5,000 people on an email list or a Facebook group with 20,000 people. We went to them and said, hey, we have this event. We just changed hundreds of people's lives through it. It was profitable. How about we come into your community and run this challenge to your audience here?
So smart.
And we did it the very first one. We were in real estate, and then that individual that we partnered with that first time, he agreed. He said, yeah, I got this audience. You guys can come run a challenge to my audience. And he was in the like wealth creation / budgeting space. So it complemented our niche, because what happens when people budget? What happens after people get their finances in order? They need to invest their money, right? And so for us, it was like the perfect stepping stone. We came into these people, they got their money straight, and now they're like, what next? They came to us. So we ran this event. We did 100, I think it was right around $100,000 that next challenge. We did the same thing a few months later. It was like 200. Long story short, we did this over and over and over again to other people's audiences, just running the same 5-day challenge. Just boom, just moving locations, moving from Facebook group to audiences. And we grew $750,000 in 10 months.
Unreal.
10 months. That's crazy.
Wow.
And we still do it today. Actually, my coach just hit me up last night, and he was like, hey, can your team whip me up a masterclass funnel? I'm getting ready to present to somebody else's community tomorrow. or Monday, I think it is. So like, we're still doing it and it still works. So strategic partnerships and going into other people's communities is my favorite.
One thing I've received sometimes, and not speaking, in a personal sense or a specific story per se, but as you were starting out and leveraging other people's audiences, doing affiliate rev shares and giving them, you mentioned 50% commission upfront. Were you ever worried about not being able to break even after ad spend, commission, rev share, that you would have anything left over after all of it?
Great question. And so for us, when we're going into the other people's communities, we're not spending money on ads though. So it was like we were hosting a private
that list
for that person's audience, which, there's some stuff I would change now. We haven't been doing a lot of them, but we've been doing some like hand picking. But if I was going to start out, go back 4 or 5 years ago, I would change a few things, but we weren't running ads. So that was an expense because this was like strictly to people that had warm audiences, hot audiences. And so really the rev share was the only thing out of the gate there that we had out of pocket. And so for us, it was a no brainer to be able to step into somebody's audience, give up 20%, because literally the host did nothing other than send out a few emails, a few texts, and then day one of the challenge, which we like the 5-day challenge model, which we can talk about in just a second. But day one, the host of that community would just come on and be like, "Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Michael. So excited for this event. I'm passing this over to my great friends, Ben and Chris. I trust them with everything. They're amazing." He would just pass all authority to them and step out and maybe not come back until, 2 or 3 days later. So and that's what we did over and over again. Now you could have where, you all would be more engaged and be there every day speaking. But, for us, it found like just day one, pass authority over and come back, in the middle of the week. "Hey, everybody, how's it going? You guys enjoying this challenge? What do you think about Ben and Chris? Aren't they awesome?" And so it just, for us, it was very minimal work on the host, but we would give them 20, 30% of all revenue. And it just was a no brainer for us.
Love
Massive.
that. Very cool.
Yeah. It's serving their audience too. One thing I want to get to, and we can keep going on partnerships too, if you guys want, but we talk about the linchpin and we talk about these dramatic demonstrations. It's fun to dive into like what price points can you do in a challenge versus like a webinar. But you mentioned something before we got started is if we talk about continuity, Russell always gives credit to David Fry, right? He says, if you don't have continuity, you don't have a business. So in this model in the challenge, are you incorporating some type of continuity piece? Like what price points do you sell? Are you doing, how are you doing continuity?
Man, great question. And man, this has been my favorite topic so far because I'm literally seeing we're going into these challenges and these virtual events and coming out the other side with 300 to 400 new people in continuity, which is like mind blowing for me. Like when you can put 300 to 400 people in a week into a membership that's paying you $50, $100 a month, crazy. So
much better than chasing the next promotion, right?
Yeah, 100%. And so especially if you have a good product, and what I see, and not to bash anybody out there, but the term continuity and membership is going around. Everybody's like, I got to build it. And then they don't build a good product. And so the stick rate is horrible. The churn rate is horrible, right? So I think if you have a good product, this can be awesome. But what we've been doing for our free challenges is we'll go ahead. It's free admission, but the VIP upgrade, similar to what Russell teaches, is we just get them into like maybe $1 trial, $1 trial for 14 days, 30 days into a program. And then what we do is throughout the event, the 5-day challenge, we'll advertise, hey, upgrade to VIP. We call it VIP, but it's upgrading to the continuity. And so we'll say, hey, upgrade to VIP, get into the community. The replays are going to be stuck in the community. So it gives the people a reason to go back into the community and want to join. If they're free, we're telling them, hey, once the event's over, the replays are gone. Or we may say, hey, you only have 1 or 2 days to watch them, right? And then the continuity, they get extended access to those replays. Now, obviously, we're most of the time on a free challenge like this, we're selling something, whether it's $9.97 a year, which is another, big thing that we've gotten into is, not like Russell says, not just one time, but how can we make this recurring? So $9.97 a year, $4.97 a year, whatever that is. So, but that's on the front end, how we're driving a lot of people into our membership. But then having a strategic plan for when these people get into your continuity is not just pushing people into trials, as you all are aware. It's how can we keep them in even after events over? And so having specific onboarding calls for these people, having, specific events outside of the challenge for these newcomers that are coming into your program. But for us, is working really well on the free side of things. What we'll do for paid challenges is we'll include, a trial maybe into a higher ticket tiers, right? So if they get in, or you could even do on the general admission. So our paid tickets start at $97 and go up to $500. just depending on some of the events. And so we'll build those trials into those paid tickets. But dude, it's changes the game, man. Russell's smart and you guys are smart at what you teach, and it definitely works.
Well, it was all my idea, so I do appreciate the kind
all
words.
Credit to Ben.
But yeah, no.
I'll give you credit.
Let me just run you through a scenario, right? We're all playing a game, the three of us here. No one else is listening. I come to you with the product, let's say, or Cardone's doing a 10X deal, right? I've got a challenge on how to launch an HVAC company, or maybe how to market a local HVAC, because they've got 10X HVAC or whatever. What would you suggest, pay or free, and why?
Yeah, great question. I think it depends on the end goal, right? What is your end goal? If you're selling a $20,000, $30,000 program, I would probably go paid. But then also, again, going back to the conversation earlier, where are you at in the journey? If you don't have a big ad budget, like you're not going to be able to go paid, right? If you're just starting out, you don't have a big lead list, go free. Like that's the point of marketing, is to get your target audience in as fast as possible. So like if you don't have any of your target audience to market to, you probably want to start out free. And so a lot of our clients, they do, but I love the paid model. It's a little bit extra work. You have a little bit more investment there with your time, energy, and money. But the paid, like it's a whole different quality of people, right? So on our challenges that are free, we only may get a 20% show up rate. I'm just giving an example, 20% show up rate, but on a paid challenge, you may get 80, 85% show up rate every day. So completely different. One little hack and ninja play, and I think one of my partners, Neo, shared this at Funnel Hacking Live this past year, but we use free webinars to sell paid challenge tickets. That's been working really well for us. Is we'll run these free webinars, we'll run ads to them, and at the end, instead of selling a $2,000 program, because that's what most people are expecting, oh, this is going to be a couple grand, we'll sell tickets to our next upcoming event. And we usually have pretty good conversions if it's done right, and if the individual knows how to run those webinars. So I think there's a lot of variables there, but I would say if you have some influence already, if you're listening to this, you're like, hey, I already have a pretty decent sized list, I'm already spending money on marketing, definitely probably dive into the paid challenge model, because you're going to have a lot higher quality leads. But if you're just starting out, I would say the free.
Love that. Very cool.
So to kind of give you like a chance now, if people are looking to run a challenge, or maybe you have an upcoming challenge, like where should people go to learn more about you, get in contact with you? Is there social media handles? This is your moment to kind of give people a way to find you.
Yeah, listen, I'm a very, very relational driven person. So I actually have a site where you can go book a call with me. We have like a virtual coffee. You can go to thefunnelpros.com. We can go chat it up just for 15 minutes to see if our services would help you. We run probably about 30 to 50 challenges like done for you per year. Like that's why I'm really passionate about this, because I'm in the weeds every single week, like actually implementing these for our clients. But listen, I'm on social media, official Michael Tucker. Anytime you want to connect, shoot me a message. Let me know you were on here listening. I'll make sure Ben and Chris know that you guys came from the show. But yeah, listen, thefunnelpros.com if you want to just sit down and have coffee for a little bit virtually. And I'd love to serve you all however I can.
Awesome, man. Hey, and congratulations. I know your daughter's almost 2 years old. This is awesome. You got a little family. You're faith-based. I love meeting people like you. This is awesome. You've been an incredible guest with so many insights. Thanks for joining us today. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I just want to take a second. I know we're a little over, but kudos to you all for doing 700 plus episodes, but then also for providing a community that really pushes people into action, into excellence. So kudos to you all. I would recommend anybody watching and listening to the show, leave a review, something, because they have provided an exceptional, amazing content for you all. So Chris, Ben, I appreciate you all. You're amazing. Your team is awesome. And we really do appreciate what you guys do.
Awesome, man. Right back at you.
Thank you.